This is the Tarot, Tea Leaf and Oracle forecast for the month of July 2019. We have a look at the energies that will be swirling around you. It will affect some of you, the whole story. Others of you, only certain aspects of it will touch on your life. So if you'd like a personal or private reading, or that incredible soulmate reading, or even to subscribe to the weekly star sign update, so that it can help you navigate your way through challenges or situations, or even take a peek into your future to see what happy occasions are going to turn up for you, then please contact me via the link in the description box below. That is via the website. You will see you can purchase and order your readings there. Taurus, so your cup of tea has quite a lot of symbols in, too many for me to read for you in this reading. So I will just read those out that kind of jump. Stories that jump out here. The first thing that struck me is a nice big dragon, and a dragon is sometimes about self-delusion and sometimes about transformation. I guess once the self-delusion part of something gets wiped away, then that's when transformation happens. With this, I see a long arrow pointing towards it. So perhaps for a while you've been pursuing something which is actually the correct thing to pursue, but perhaps your reasons for doing so you haven't been completely honest about, or you've said to everyone this is the reason that you're doing it, and you even believe it to a certain extent, but some part of you knows you're doing it for another reason. The arrow is all squiggly, which tells me that the direction you're heading in is ultimately going to be the right one, but you're doing many curves and twists and turns in the way, perhaps because as yet you haven't been entirely honest with yourself about the reason for doing it. In July, you're going to do that. In July, you're actually going to finally say, you know what, this is really why I'm doing this. After that, I see a little dolphin, which means then things start actually manifesting the goods for you. So once you're kind of clear with yourself what your real reason was for doing something, that's when life starts bringing things in for you that you were hoping it would. I see another very squiggly arrow, and that is pointing towards an ant, which says hard work will deliver the goods for you. Perhaps that's what it has been. Perhaps you left one job for another one, hoping the work wouldn't be as hard, only to discover that the work is as hard, and it will be that hard. Is that always saying that hard work is what delivers the goods for us? You know, that's a belief system as well, but if we prescribe to it, then that is what will happen. I'm just looking to see what else is in this teacup for you guys. I see a chicken. Whenever I see a chicken, my first thing is one is not owning up to something, or not, being chicken, basically about something. There's something that you're just not being straightforward about, and there's nothing wrong with that. That has its place in our lives as well. It just may be that you don't want to face up to something because you're scared of the consequences of facing up to it. But ultimately, sometimes what happens is the longer we leave it, the more scary the thing becomes, when it really isn't. When you sit yourself down and say, okay, no, this is really why I did this. You don't have to tell anyone else. This is your own life story. It's no one else's business. So maybe it's a case of in July, you finally decide, look, I'm going to be a bit honest with myself why I did this. After that, I see a little horseshoe as well. So it will bring you luck. So it's a case of squaring up to something in July. And you're going to feel the need or the want to do that. Something you've maybe been a little bit chicken about. Something you've been deluding yourself about. And you're going to say to yourself, no, hang on a moment. This is what's really going on. Ultimately, you are on the right path, because that arrow is there. It's just a very squiggly arrow. And I think once you kind of set yourself down and say, this is why I'm doing this in all honesty, or this is what appealed to me in all honesty, that arrow straightens out and your path is far clearer. The oracle cards you get is time to go, why, and yin. But that's very interesting, because the time to go says something in your life has reached its conclusion, its natural conclusion, right? This card, the time to go card, always speaks about things that have come to a natural conclusion, in contrast to something which suddenly comes to an end quite unexpectedly. You realize, and it could just be the time has come to leave behind an illusion that you created for yourself that you weren't honest about. It can be as simple as that. Or it can be you chose a particular lifestyle and it's time to be honest about what that is about, why you chose it, and it's time to move on from there. Don't overanalyze this. The why card comes up next. Don't overanalyze this. It's not necessary to go into the why falls and the why did I do this and the why. Sometimes it's just not necessary to do that. It's just necessary to say, look, this is the reason I did it. It maybe wasn't my best choice. Or it was a choice. I made it. That's why I did it. Now I'm being honest. Let's move on from here. Overanalyzing it is not going to help at all. Then the yin card says, be open to what comes in next. Be receptive to what comes in next. So it's not a case of rectifying what you've done and making major steps to change things. It's a case of actually sitting back for a bit once you've sort of come to that conclusion and being honest with yourself, and then seeing what comes in after that. Your relationship cards, I picked 3 cards for those of you that are looking for relationships and 2 cards for those of you that are in relationships. Now, those of you looking for relationships, you get retreat. It's time to disconnect from the world. Soulmate, yes, this is your soulmate. This could be the one you've already met, the romantic partner you seek. What is interesting here is, and I got the instant sort of feeling with that and story with that, is you're going to take time out in July. Or you're going to have the opportunity to take time out in July and just get away from your normal routine. And in so doing, you bump into that somebody that possibly you crossed paths with before. At the time, they didn't make that much of an impression, or life was just not ready for that situation. But this is a soulmate. This is the person you've been waiting for. This is the romantic partner you've been looking for. But it is a case of it's going to happen out of your normal day-to-day humdrum, your day-to-day life. It's a case of somewhere in July crops up an opportunity to get out of that. And when you do so, when you make use of that opportunity, that is when your paths cross with this person. It can be one of 2 scenarios. It can be there, the place that you go to, that you cross paths with this person, or simply because you take yourself out of your normal everyday routine, which can set up a particular energy field. And because you take it out of that, it opens up energetically for you, and this person then presents themselves. For those of you that are in relationships, you have innovation and empowerment. There's a distinct feeling in July for Taurus about trying something new or different. And it really applies to relationships for those of you that are in a relationship. In July, the opportunity will come up, the potential will come up, the energies will be there for you to do things completely differently within your relationship. And this empowers that relationship. It brings something new, some kind of new energy into a relationship. It actually goes without saying that that's what would happen. You know, when we do something completely different within a relationship, we change the dynamics entirely. Even if it's just for a short while, it can actually send your relationship off on a different tangent. And this really helps to empower that relationship. Now, your tarot cards, interestingly enough, the first one is the 4 of Water, which speaks about being honest with yourself. You then get the 5 of Water, and you get the 9 of Earth. 9 of Earth is a lovely, lovely card to conclude your reading on. But I saw that in your teacup and your other cards. It's like you were on that windy path, but you're going to go on the straight of that arrow. You know, it's going to send you to that 9 of Earth. But let's start with the 4 of Water. He's looking at a mirror, but his one eye is closed or blinded. Can you see that? So it's one eye is looking inward and one eye is looking outward. What that means is you were looking outward for something. You were pursuing something outwardly, when inwardly, well, that's normally the case, but now you're going to be honest about that. That's that dragon, that self-delusion. You actually look inward and say, you know what, this is why I did this. This is why I made this choice. This is why I made this decision. July, you do that. Completely honest about it, without judgment. That is what that 4 of Water is about. It's not a judgmental thing. It's an honesty thing. This is why I made this choice and decision. That 5 of Water speaks about not regretting it, not judging it, not looking at it and saying, if only I had, and now I don't have this anymore, look where I've ended up, and I could have had that. It's not about that. Because what comes finally is the 9 of Earth. Now, what's interesting about the 9 of Earth, and also you've got the Yin card in the beginning, is that receptive principle. You see how she's holding the bowl out with a butterfly. Change will come, and it will come in your material life, okay? So there is there is the potential for abundance to come into your life. No matter what decisions and choices you've made, there's potential to come in. But it's now a case of being honest about why you made those choices and decisions, and then being receptive to what comes next, because you are on the right path. You just were not honest about why you were on the path, and this could have been what was blocking your success. Now you get honest about your motivation and your reasons, and it opens up the doors and the channels. Now you don't have to do anything as such. Keep doing what you're doing, but just be receptive to what life is going to bring in for you now. But it's going to bring in some kind of abundance. It might not be immediately. What you're seeing is the receptive principle in July, waiting to see what comes next once you've been honest with yourself. Probably August, September, a little bit later in the year, you'll start seeing the manifestation of opening up those channels. I hope that you enjoyed that reading. If you would like any of those readings I offered at the beginning, the personal, private, soulmate, or subscription to weekly updates for your star sign, please contact me via the links in the description box below. That is via the website. I want to thank you for watching, listening, commenting, liking, subscribing, and for those of you that share this video, I truly appreciate it. Those of you that comment, I read every single comment. Thank you very much.